Welcome back to another episode of Tea Transitions, where we explore journeys, shifts, and quiet evolutions that shape who we become. I'm Rosie.
Hi, I'm Farah. Welcome back.
It's been a while. We have to take a sabbatical holiday, take a break, right? Take a
Take a
break
break. Yeah,
for the
that's what we
holidays.
did. Yeah.
So today we want to dive into a topic that probably touch on every single one of us, change. Change is the kind of that we choose, the kind that we don't want to, and the kind that sneak up on us without even us realizing it.
Now, when we refer to transition, it is more than just you moving from country to country. It
Correct.
transition means change, basically. And how do you cope with that transition? We're only speaking from our own experiences and what we have observed among our friends and ourselves.
Right. And it's like when you slowly stop reacting to things that used to trigger you, you immediately start to set boundaries without making big announcement. These are sometimes the change that happen quietly. Uh, Pretty much, or most of the time, it's always happened behind the scene without even you planning it. Um,
That is true. And I think for a lot of us, when we consciously make a decision to change,
mhm.
we ourselves stop us from going forward because it's a conscious decision. But when we do it subconsciously, we don't even realize that
Mm.
we actually made a decision to cross that line or, you know, go ahead with something that we've always feared. Maybe, I suppose my point of view is that it sometimes not knowing is best when you
Mm.
do something as opposed to making a conscious decision and then realizing, oh my god, I don't think I can do this, right?
Or it could also be sometimes other people notice the change in us.
Yes.
It could happen when maybe one day someone say to you, "You seem calmer today," or "You don't tolerate that anymore." I
Mm.
know I have received those kind of comments before, but then I'll be like, "No, I'm fine." But in all honesty, when I reflect back those moments, just prior to us go live here, it just dawned to me what happened during that change is actually I have grown. Not in the
Yes.
sense of taller, but
Never gonna get there.
unfortunately, but it's just that I've grown to be spontaneous. I've grown to be on my toes, quick thinking, and to take on what's in front of me. Those are I call the subconscious change or the shifts that change me.
Yes, exactly. And sometimes I wonder whether it would be easier if we had support,
Mm.
like me telling you, yeah, you can do this. You just go ahead with it. You need the change to make yourself better, or you need to make a certain decision, or is it just us encouraging ourselves?
Now,
What do you think?
I think it really depends on the event when it happened. I think personally for me, throughout these years, as I am a career woman, mom, volunteer, so on and so forth, these subtle shifts are the one that actually changed me over the years, right?
Mm,
Because of my behavior, because of my hands on what I did, without even me realizing it. Hey, I've gone through work from a nobody to climbing up the corporate ladder. That's a change. Or even creating my own business opportunity to be a self-employed. That's a change. But because my focus has been, you got to do this, you got to produce this, ultimately I lay down those brickworks for myself to step on. And then now looking back, I've grown. These are just some of the changes over the years that I've accomplished. And
mm.
yes, there's bumps and bruises, but if there is no bumps and bruises, you will not learn.
Yeah, and yeah, you don't grow. For me, the
Know
part about
that.
learning is growing.
Yeah,
And you just don't realize it at times because you take it for granted. Oh yeah,
yeah,
I've cleared this hurdle or I've done
yeah.
this, but in actual fact, it is a growth moment there.
So what about you then, Farah? What have you noticed about you related to this topic? What change have you kind of noticed about you?
I have noticed not to let, like you in relationships, for me is work, not to let that affect me as much as it has before. Now, it had to be a conscious decision on my part.
Mm,
Really, one fine day, I suddenly thought of it and decided, you know what? This is not good for me.
mm,
And I had to draw that line. And in some of my relationships, it's exactly the same. When I came here over 15 years ago, certain things happened in some of my relationships, and I actually took the decision and made that decision to cut off certain relationships for the good of myself, for
mm-hmm,
my peace of mind.
mm-hmm.
And I've learned as I've grown through the years that the older I get, the more I do not put up with
Right.
certain things. And that, again, is a conscious decision and it's a change on my part. This is from someone who is very much attached to her relationships, but I had to make a conscious decision there.
So earlier on, we talk about subconscious change.
Mm.
This is the conscious change, like you said.
Yes. Mm.
It is something that we decide to change something ourselves, a job, a relationship, a
Mm.
habit. Most of the time, it's always a habit.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it also scares us while we are in the process of doing it. Now,
Mm.
the word that immediately came to my mind is fear. Fear
Mm.
of the unknown suddenly becomes so much louder
Mm.
when you then decide to do something better, which is the change. So, with that said, I don't think we should stop ourselves from the first leap. You
Yes.
took the first leap of cutting, snip, 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 right?
Mm-hmm.
All of those noises.
Yeah.
I took the first step to be focused, have a plan of action, and lay down the framework of what I need to do for myself, for my
Mm-hmm.
business, for work. And always remember there's going to be pros and cons. Always be prepared. What's
Mm-hmm.
the plan that you can actually have? I call it a contingency plan. If things went sideways, the worst case scenario. So we talk
Mm.
ourselves when that happened, 9 out of 10, we are scared. We have fear of something negative happen, then we indirectly talk ourselves out of growth.
Yes, but I think
And
for some people, change is inevitable and
mm,
unavoidable. When you relocate for work,
oh yeah.
you get into a relationship, you have to adjust and change, or uh, you know, you being so far away from home,
Mm.
even traveling, you need to think on your feet and change as you go along because these are, I think, sometimes the subconscious changes that we make, making a decision there and then on the spot and just going for it. And that is something that I think we don't even realize that we are doing, actually, you know?
Here's a good question to tie to what you just said.
Mm.
Should we move forward if we know in advance that we have the support, the encouragement, or someone asking you, for example, if Tony asks you, are you sure you want to do this? Can you
Mm-hmm.
do this? So that automatically puts you in a defense mode to say, you ask yourself, self-doubt. I call that, a moment that we sabotage the very thing that we want to do.
Yeah.
It really takes a lot of guts for someone to do these changes themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But my advice from my personal experiences, you got to give it a try before you know it,
Yes.
whether
Mm.
it's going to work out or if
Mm.
it's going to be a flop.
Yeah. I think key is that to take that very first leap. It is the most scary. And even if someone close to you tell you, are you sure? I,
Yeah.
I don't think you can do it. But if you personally feel that it would do you good or that you could gain something out of it, I think you ought to try it. I mean, it's all your own mistakes. It doesn't tie into anyone else. So go for it,
So what
right?
if, right? So what if that we don't have the support? Do you still continue to push yourself?
I think that is where introspection, knowing yourself, is very important.
Mhm.
If you know that it is something that will, in the end, be better for yourself, or that you
Yeah,
must make a decision on,
yeah,
not to keep pushing it, you
hmm,
have to go ahead and do it.
yep,
No matter how much you fear it, it'll be nice to have the support, but
yeah,
sometimes you have partners or friends who's very negative. So you have to
hmm,
also surround yourself at times with people who can have a better insight into your person.
yep,
Or if you don't have that, then you have to rely solely on yourself, unfortunately, but it,
yep.
it happens a lot more than we think.
I want to touch base early on when you say sometimes these changes are related to relocating for work, moving for love, or traveling. So
Mm.
to some, this change may not be an option, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Exactly.
so the kind of change really hit us very differently. Um, it impact not only yourself, but it's a new environment. So you
Yes.
instantly have to create your own identity based on your surrounding and circumstances. You kind of have to go with the flow. If it's a foreign
Mm-hmm.
country of the language that you're not familiar with, those are the things that you just have to make it yours, learn the language, and build your own path so that you are adapting well to this change. So
Mm.
indirectly, what you're doing
Yep.
to yourself is a new version of yourself has been created from the scratch.
Exactly. And I think with regards to, you know, going abroad and making all these changes, or knowing that these changes are coming,
Mm,
you should try to find it less, because that way you help yourself.
yeah,
Because if you're going to keep fighting against it, it had to happen. You know that this is the choices that you make.
yep.
Then you have to try, to roll with it. I call it the roll with it effect because,
I call it the wing it
yeah,
effect.
yeah,
Wing
exactly.
it.
But it's just going ahead and saying, you know what, these are the decisions. I have to try and make it. And if you do try and it doesn't work, okay, at least you've tried,
Yep.
right?
And don't forget, when you try something new to adapt to these changes, you are automatically too opening up so many doors for you to grow.
Yeah.
It automatically or indirectly teaches us resilience in ways that you never expect that you can
Mm.
actually do it.
Yeah.
So, my question to you, Farah, what surprised you about who you became after you moved to the States?
I'd say it's made me even more open-minded, more accepting. I've always been that, but it pushed me along further, and it made
Hmm.
me realize certain limitations about myself, which I found out through certain things that happened in my life, and the acceptance of a lot of things that I cannot change, that
Mm,
I cannot hope for. I have to be okay with it.
right.
And I have realized that, yes, I
That's a good
have
one.
become more accepting. I have taken whatever the universe has
Yeah.
given to me,
Yeah.
and I've done my best. That's all I can say.
That's good.
Mm,
I think for me is I was ready before I moved here, was not wild, but I was daring. I was always looking for something new to do, right?
mm,
Once I'm here and I look at my surrounding, immediately it dawned to me, I can do this, if not better.
mm,
So the confidence level have actually escalated
mm,
because of the people that I met, the opportunity for me to be out there in public. Don't forget, I became a wedding singer within the first week I was here.
mm,
So it builds up my confidence. It builds up also. my community, my network. Um, and with that transitions, I slowly became a brand here where we live because it's always work, work, work. It's always community network. And to me, that's good. And it really reflect my personality too. That's I've always been going, going, going. It's not
Mm,
that I have ADHD. No, it's just that I love to be busy, get myself
mm,
really doing something. I don't think that is a negative thing to me. I think that's always good because it gives me the opportunity to try something new that I'm not afraid
mm,
of. Yeah.
mm. I think coming back to transitions and changes, I think women especially go through a lot more in
Mm.
terms of that. Now we see, all the way from motherhood to menopause, for
Hmm.
instance, and it's a huge change.
Yep.
Or singlehood to menopause. And some we know went from being a career woman to a stay at home mom
Yeah.
because circumstances force that,
Yep.
depending on where you're at. And that is not an easy change,
Mm-mm.
especially if, when you're used to working or you're used to your body reacting a certain way,
Yep.
and then suddenly it throws you a curveball, and you're kind of like, oh my God, what just happened
Yep.
there?
Yep.
Why am I sweating through the night? Why, and how do I deal with this?
Yep.
And right now, I think we are pretty lucky because out there are a lot of resources for
Yep.
you to tap into, to
Yep.
get help and to get guidance as to how to
Yep.
deal with things like that. But again, these changes can be very, very turbulent, and it does require a change of a reset of your mindset.
Yep.
And
And you must
and
activate your strength too, because if you're not strong to go
mm,
through this woman transitions, motherhood, menopause, career
yeah,
shifts, reinventing yourself at the age of
mm,
40 and above, you need to have guts to do it. You need to be bold and be brave because honestly, the society doesn't prepare us for this shift.
no,
We
and I think
have to expect just how to handle it ourselves.
yes, and coming from Asia, especially, our mothers behave very differently from the mothers here, who
Mm,
are very independent. We have a family network there, so all this kind of things is, especially for us, a
yeah.
way is
Yep.
something that we have to learn to deal with.
Yep.
But I feel that through perseverance, sheer willpower, self-awareness, and self-growth, we can all make it happen. Sometimes with a lot of help.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think it's to a point now from what I've gone through with what you just said, it somehow go back to me questioning myself. I
Mm,
can't believe that I did that. I can't believe
mm,
that I went through this and survive.
yeah.
I did it well, or
Mm,
maybe I'm so anal about myself, what I do, and that's when I challenge myself and I say, oh, in this event, in the next time, this is how I want to do it. So you
mm,
suddenly, like I said, it's a brand. I suddenly create all of this
mm.
golden nuggets to help me in my next challenge,
Yeah.
in my
And
next move.
yeah, exactly. These are all just small ammunition for you for your next
That's a good way to
challenge.
describe ammunition. Pew, pew, pew.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Oh my
exactly.
God. So, how do you remind yourself of how far you've come?
I always remind myself that I am blessed, that I
Mm,
have managed to overcome certain hurdles in my life. I'm
mm,
sure they are not as big as some other people,
mm.
but I always think that to make myself more grounded, which is, I may have this set of problems, other people have worse, and I can do this. At least I can try my damnness to do it and come out on the other
And
side.
did you realize on to that statement that you just shared, you also emphasize a lot about your strength?
I did not.
Hmm. I mean,
Roll with it.
yeah. Roll with it. There you go. Yeah, what you just expressed is actually indirectly sums up to you having to gain a lot of strength. Um, that has helped you to for you to be where you are today.
Yeah, that I think that's the only way, because with every shift and every change, you do grow, whether you like it or not, or you think you may not have changed, but there are certain nuances, and it has fortified your
Yep.
person, you know,
Yep. So
to help you.
what I learned from this topic that we just talked very briefly is to never downplay every milestone that we have
Yes,
achieved.
we
It may
keep
be
saying
very,
that. Yep. Mm-hmm.
it's hard, right? We are
Mm,
our own best critic, but I think in general, to our listeners out there, who always question yourself, oh no, you can do it. I can, I don't have this
mm,
background. Oh, I've been here,
mm,
working in this job for too long. I'm so jaded. No. For the
mm-hmm,
fact that you have been working with that organization for so long is that you're an asset for that company because of what you know, their
mm-hmm.
knowledge and your skills. So that those are milestone on itself.
Exactly. And having said that, I would like to invite listeners, if you have made changes late in your life, with regards to like what we just said,
Hmm.
say you were a stay at home mom and then suddenly you realize your kids are out of school and then you want to do something. How do you pick yourself up at that point in time? You're probably maybe 40, let's say your age, or a little bit older, and then you realize, oh, the job market has left you. So
Hmm.
how do you cope with that? How do you pick yourself up and say, like our friend Zarina found her passion in
Hmm.
her, in teaching other people how to get healthy
There you
and
go.
physical,
Exactly.
so these are the kind of challenges that women do face, and I would love to hear from you. I think we both would like to know your point of view.
And on the same token, too, just a reminder that change is constantly happening, whether
Mhm.
you are noticing it or not, whether you choose to do it or not. But every shift, big or small, eventually shape the person who we are becoming, right?
Exactly. Yep.
And with that said, like Farah said, drop a comment below, or a voice note if you're too shy to want to appear in front of the camera and talking to us, or email us your story. Then we can definitely share your stories to our listeners in our upcoming episode.
Exactly. So
S-
here's to more changes and keep rolling with it. Or as Rosie say, wing it
Wing it.
till you get it right.
And until next time, keep growing, keep evolving, and keep on sipping your tea to every transition.
Cheers.
And we'll see
Thank
you in
you.
the next episode, ladies. See ya. Bye.